I think we are live. So, welcome everyone for the. I think this is the last Drupal tweak call before Drupal 8 release.
Are we not having one next week?
Isn't it the?
It'll be
Oh,
a party meeting, right?
oh, next week there is. Yeah, we can have party meeting. But what time is the release gonna happen? Is it gonna happen before the call or after the call?
Oh, I don't know. Any other time?
Is Catch going to do the release?
No.
Well, if it's Catch or Alex, maybe it will happen UK time.
Yeah, anyway, it's gonna happen next week. So this might be the last call before the release, which is pretty sweet because finally it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then we can start working on the 8.1 finally. It's been a nice time off during the few weeks in the release candidate phase, not having to work much.
Yeah. Not on Drupal stuff anyway.
Yep.
I found one. Well, actually, I didn't find it. Gabor found a front-end bug. It'd be nice to get people to look at it. I pasted it into the Google Doc. So the progress bar is completely broken on the installer. It's,
Did you put a link somewhere?
yeah, I can paste it also into the chat here. Yes, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one because it seems like it just should work because the library's being loaded in the twig file, but I don't know what's changed recently that would change that.
Have you tried to reproduce that?
Yeah, I reproduced on Simply Test on me just to double check.
Is Classy even loaded on the installer?
Yeah, because it's the base theme of 7.
So this just happened?
Yeah, apparently it's not in RC3, but it's in head. That's what Gabor told me.
Yeah, it is in head. Something is broken. Could it be the stable stuff?
It could be.
Yeah. If it was loading the stable template, then that would make sense, but it shouldn't be loading the stable template.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
No, but that looks like... I mean, is it an issue with the template or the library?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't had a chance to look into it in depth.
Installation failed anyway for me. I don't know, lots of crazy crazy errors. Okay, so we have some bugs that we've caused. What is the other issue David linked?
That's about the changelog text.
Yeah, the documentation and stuff. Yep. That is important one. Okay, that is pretty sweet issue. Hello, Steve. Hello, Morten.
Hey.
Sorry for joining late.
Yeah, no problem. We haven't been talking much. We've been just wondering about a few issues here.
Mhm.
Do we need to talk about this something more? Do you want to talk about this, David or Luis?
Changelog? Well, the changelog is just the changelog text for
Yeah.
Drupal. So it's being updated right now to include everything. So if you have any 2 cents about something that needs to be included in there, just go ahead and comment or update the patch.
Yeah. So I think at least I would like to talk about the component stuff. Is there someone else who is up to talking about those? Morten is not up to for that. Anyone else interested of that?
Well, I'm interested. I just think it's too early to talk about because we still, I mean, components and that kind of thinking is, I don't think it's going to be realistic for the next year. So many other things we need to fix, and to really begin to think in that thought. You know, the module that Steve came out with, which I only overlooked it very shortly because I got hit by work. Would be probably the first step towards that, because as I see a lot of component or thinking in components is also file naming and so forth. So it might gonna be a complete rethinking of how we're looking at theming in Drupal again, and maybe we're a little bit premature on that. I'm not sure, but I could also be wrong. That wouldn't be the first time. So.
Yeah, one of the things I was talking about with someone yesterday is that the theme system never really had a beta phase. So we just went straight from working on everything to release. So we haven't really had a chance for anyone to feedback on using it yet. So I don't really, it's the same thing as Morten really. I don't really feel like I have any new ideas because it's too soon. Too soon to figure out what we should change.
Okay. So we shouldn't talk about the component stuff then, I assume.
We can, but I don't know. I don't really have the mental bandwidth for it right now, I guess.
I had a similar problem actually when Drupal 7 came out. I wanted to talk about the problems with Drupal 7, and everyone was like, "Yay, Drupal 7!" And they're like, "Nah, ready to talk about the problem."
I am exactly where you were 5 years ago, because I've been looking into it the last 2 weeks. I'm like, fuck, why didn't we clean this shit up? Why is this still here? And I have these. It's all over.
Yeah.
Too many templates and.
But I'm definitely in the sort of component mindset myself, because I haven't been doing is the cleanup that you guys have been doing. So we don't necessarily have to bring it up at the beginning of this meeting, but I'd be more than willing to talk about it.
I can demo the module that I pushed this week. I think it overlaps with the component thinking.
Yeah. Go for it.
Oh yeah, let me grab the link first.
Yeah.
I'll put it in IRC.
We were talking with Lowry and a few other people about components probably 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't know, bad game. And we were trying to figure out like how we could best implement it, and we're looking at different approaches. And I think experimental steps like that to see what we can do. And actually, I was thinking of doing that template mapper as well, to figure out where our templates are and what variables can be passed into it and things like that.
Yeah, this is an idea I've had for a while, as I've just written what I felt like were too many pre-process functions to do relatively simple template suggestions. So what I've written is a Drupal 8 module. Is the screen share working?
Yes.
Okay. And great, I've got some debug code still going. So the idea is that you put in an existing theme hook suggestion, like node __ article full, and if you have a design component called long form prose, you put in that suggestion. I think it's debatable if the replacement suggestion should be node __ long form prose or just long form prose. I think this is a decent middle ground where, because the variables coming into the new template node long form prose are still specific to the node module, I think it's helpful to keep that convention in place. But Morten, I know in your examples you've been saying the replacement would be simply the component name and not contain the theme hook at all.
Yeah, I think there's mainly I was trying to think out from a perspective of, hey, I don't even know Drupal, and I don't really care about how Drupal does node versus field versus block versus whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in the idea of at some point we would be able to read variables from one template to the other, so we could, like, kill some of the templates. I think at that point we would begin to move further away from the traditional way of Drupal thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it's. I mean, I think you're right. It's a decent like middle ground, and we still try to keep like the name, so people don't get completely confused.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And in my opinion, layout plugins are a more natural fit for full-on design component implementation. At least that's what I used predominantly in Drupal 7 as the mapping layer in between. But that module is still under development for Drupal 8, and this was easy enough, and it gave me an excuse to make a Drupal 8 module that had bhat tests, which I wanted for other reasons, just as a starting point to get Drupal.org running bhat tests. So yeah, I'd love it if I could get any and all feedback on the implementation of this module. There's still plenty of to-dos in the code for how it could be better. I could see this UI getting shoehorned into, say, the view mode UI. If, for instance, someone is working on the display of an article, there could be some alteration to this form asking, do you want to override the template that's going to get used for the article teaser?
Yeah, that makes sense. It works well as quite like a natural replacement for that whole template suggestion mess you're talking about, that you end up with projects. But like the reason that this is slightly, I guess, slightly different to the problem that I have is that this, I guess, if you're just switching out that template suggestion thing, then the variables getting passed in have to be the same. So it has to be like all the node variables.
Yeah. When I tweeted about this first a couple weeks ago, Dave Reed responded basically like, "Why do I need this?" And I don't think anyone absolutely needs this. It's simply to get file names that match the design system. It does nothing to improve that abstraction of the variables themselves. For that, you need something like layout plugins.
Yeah, it sounds quite good. I think it'll be useful. It'll be more useful if like I could say like have like a list of all the suggestions, and then at like let's say 10 of these go to this design component, and then I have to have very little words that where I have loads in Drupal 7.
It'd be really cool to have something like render element where it would go after that, and then it could fill like default values in there and specify its own pre-renders and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one thought that I had was to collect suggestions, like have this module have like a development mode where it simply watches and caches every suggestion that comes through. So an autocomplete or some kind of select list could be used here. So rather than having to know what the theme hook suggestions are, they could autofill or autocomplete or something. Yeah, right now all I have is basically turn on theme debug mode and then look for what the suggestions are.
Yeah, that is fine. I mean, right now, even if you want to use it, you have to understand pretty well what you are doing.
Yeah.
It's pretty expert stuff.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that problem with the mapping the variables as well. From NodeTPL into whatever, or for example, from NodeTPL. Sorry, I gotta stop saying TPL. From NodeTwig over to a component.twig file, right? One thing that I haven't played with yet, but I thought about is maybe trying to leverage the twig blocks and just making liberal use of that in the component twig file. It still require you to basically wire it all up by creating a node suggestion twig file and then extending the component and then specifying all the node variables that go into each of the component blocks.
Yeah.
It'd still be a bit fiddly, but might work. I don't know. It would depend on how fiddly and how annoying that got before
There conceivably could be a browser-based UI for doing that mapping of variables.
Yeah, I could see something similar to what you built actually that would add in the mappings.
Yeah, I remember hearing a discussion early in the Twig cycle saying, what if all panels did was write Twig files? Basically, the way I think of panels is that it maps incoming variables, say, from a node or a user, and sends them to variables that exist in the design component that is the layout plugin or the style plugin. And conceivably, all that configuration could be written into a Twig file.
Yeah, that module looks really interesting. So I think you need some testing in that. People test it out, or do you need help with some coding also?
Yeah, there are a bunch of to-dos throughout. As it works now, each of these suggestions is stored as its own config entity, and on every pass-through, hook template suggestions alter those config entities are asked for in a way that I imagine is not the most performant. So caching integration is a definite next step.
Okay.
To think of us like for a developer's tool to figure out what templates are available and what variable. Like if we define hook variables, hook template. Oh god, hook theme with variables. Then we know at least what variables are going into that template. If we don't use that, then we don't have that ability. But if we could like hook into the registry and then just read what variables are available for those templates, then we can kind of list it out and say, okay, this template is available to you, and this is what the variables that can go into that template are. And here are some of the suggestions that we've already kind of discovered in the registry, and then just list it out as a table so we can kind of have like an overview of the templates that are available in Drupal. Could be tricky to make it make sense, to help as a quick tool to what you have available to you, because right now you have to just kind of look through every single module. So just at a glance, seeing all the templates that you have available from your themes and from your modules.
Yeah.
Or all from your modules.
Yeah, it could definitely autocomplete in both of those fields, both what suggestions are being given and what templates are actually available in my custom theme.
Did you? Is this all on that one site? Do you have like do you want to just work with patches, or are you working with GitHub, or is it?
Right now I'm working with GitHub and pull requests because there are BHAT tests to verify that the template suggestions actually work. I know I could have done that with simple tests, but I think BHAT tests are better long term. So that I'm doing issues on Drupal.org and pull requests on GitHub.
Okay. Ciao, Mike. Big party here too in Vancouver. If anybody are in town for next week.
We have also a big party happening here.
Yeah, there'll be a party somewhere in Seattle. I'm not sure where it is. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, it will be a party everywhere.
Bye. To pick up on something John was saying about using Twig templates, I actually was playing around with something like this. I was trying to do something with the Twig version of Pattern Lab. And one of the benefits of Pattern Lab is it lets you include components inside components and stuff. So the syntax of doing that in Twig is pretty similar to the regular mustache syntax. So I have to adjust it as some basic examples. But basically, you just can choose to include a Twig file. And the way that gets picked up is based on each separate Twig implementation. And then you just say, this variable maps to this variable maps to this variable. I had issues with that in Drupal because the way we discover templates means that every template requires like a hook or something. So the system wasn't picking up just Twig templates that were just chucked in the Pattern Lab folder. So I never got that working.
Was the Pattern Lab folder dropped within a theme?
Yeah.
And it still wasn't being found?
No. We had some issues with it, and then we ran out of time, and we're told to do some real work. So.
That's striking me as odd because in Drupal 7 on a site using Twig, I was able to get like arbitrary template files found, I think.
Oh yeah? Do you have an example you can send me? Maybe I just got the syntax wrong.
I don't think so because it's code I no longer have access to. It was a Palantir project.
Oh.
I wonder if GraphQL might be a good spot to do this kind of variable mapping. Has anyone watched that video that Dre has referenced in his last keynote?
Yep.
I haven't seen it. Someone's going to have to tell me what GraphQL is.
It's a Facebook-backed project that produces JSON representations of internal data structures. And one of the reasons they use it is because they find it a better way of doing nesting of data than, I think, a stricter REST approach, which would have more references within JSON structures, which in a JavaScript application could require more network round trips. So if you're representing, say, a musical song in JSON, you could represent the artist as a link in JSON, like a hypermedia style link, and to then get the artist title, you follow that link, which is another HTTP request. And the idea of GraphQL seems to be let's give you everything you're probably going to want in one request.
By allowing you to pick what you want,
right?
Not by giving you everything up front.
Yeah. It's not sending you like a database dump. There's a syntax for constructing, like, give me a song and also give me everything about the artist and album, but not the artist's record label. Like, don't go that deep in the tree. And just baked into that is this concept of variable mapping. So if the Drupal variable is field_image, but you want your JSON representation to simply be image, you can do that. And when I saw it, one of the first things I thought was, if components are getting defined, say in Pattern Lab, and the Pattern Lab component expects a variable called image, not field image, then GraphQL could be the place at which that mapping happens. And another reason it appealed to me is because it has both server-side implementations and implementations designed for decoupled server and JavaScript application architectures. And if rendering were built on top of something like that, then a smaller mental shift is required when you go from rendering all on the server to rendering in the browser. If you're thinking of it as, well, we're constructing our data in GraphQL and then we're sending it to this template. It doesn't matter if the template is getting rendered in JavaScript or on the server. In either case, the same twig template is getting the same GraphQL representation. It can render server-side, it can render in JavaScript. It's still just a twig file getting variables.
Yeah, of course, that kind of logic could be implemented in the preprocess function, but that is, of course, a little bit nasty.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. But if we need something like that, we could add a new layer, like a YAML file or something, where you could map all the variables to be whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be possible. Anyone else has anything to say about the component stuff? everyone hates components.
No, components are awesome, but I mean, as Louis said, and as John also said, that at this point, we rarely haven't even run a beta. And the things I've seen the last 3 weeks of stuff that it's working right now, but when I'm looking at classy and stable, there's so many things that we have not cleaned up or not fixed or is full of, it's not optimal, let's put it that way.
You can't do cleanup anymore.
Yeah, no, that's my whole point, is that we have succeeded by moving stuff out. We have separated core. I personally think that it's working on core. I think that working on components on the side project is a thing we should really do, because it's probably the way we're going to go in the future. But we have a ton of stuff we need to clean up, as I see it, or figure out what we're going to do around 8.1, 8.2, and so forth. Pretty much as what John said after his rush for getting Drupal 7 out, that the bandwidth is down, and you can see all the things that didn't get fixed. And that's so. I think we should keep on pushing on components, but I don't think it's first priority right now. I think we have other issues that is also more relevant to normal people. I love the whole idea about components. The more I look at them, it makes the whole design process easier. It makes everything around building prototypes easier. It's probably the way we want to go in the future.
It makes major Drupal upgrades easier. Porting a D7 theme that's built with components to D8 is really easy, because all your CSS is basically the same. You just need to rewire the classes into the D8 markup.
Yeah, and you can do that now. So I do think we should really look hard into this, but and those who want to do that, I think it's sweet. I love the whole idea on components in so many ways, but I've just seen so many things the last 2-3 weeks of why do we have 4 template files around an image? And, I had to sit down and actually make little pretty drawings of all the templates that create an image or a field or a label and all these things to figure out how to explain this to new people. Why do we have all these templates when practically maybe we could have one template? And that
should we create a new meta for these kind of things?
I think we should do a meta on the whole components thing.
Yeah, but should we do a meta on the cleanup stuff?
Yeah, we should maybe do a meta that says this is our goal for 8.1 and 8.2 and 8.3. Something like that, so we can make it visible for people. Be like, why is stuff built this way? And I don't know if we can rewrite something in core so we can actually cut down some of the templates without breaking, old themes, or we can find better ways of doing stuff.
What we need to do, because we won't be able to remove any templates from 8.1, because that would basically be breaking backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
But maybe we could add a feature that adds some sort of deprecation functionality that basically says, warns people that have developer mode on or whatever, that says, hey, you're using these deprecated templates, you should switch to these other ones which are better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that was kind of the idea I came up in my head, that we need to figure out a way to move it forward and say nicely to people, don't use this. I was looking into my node templates, and suddenly my old enemy number one, links, came up, which is this garbage can where modules can throw in all kinds of stuff. It's why do we still have that here? And maybe that's a documentation issue, and say this is functionality we still have in there, but it's deprecated, you shouldn't use it. Because we use it for read more, for numbers of comments, and a link to the comments. And it's kind of a place that it made sense when you look at how Google's history was and what Google was built for. It really doesn't make sense anymore. We can play that card all over. If we can. I think it's going to be maybe a thing that we can't go out and say the thing is deprecate, but if we can come up with better methods of doing stuff, saying this is the thing we want to work forward to. Let's take the images, for example. An image right now, I think requires maybe it's 5 templates actually before the image comes out. If we could find another way of also pushing the data out, but just pushing that to one template, that would be a better way of doing that. And say, well, your old theme is still working with your wrapper templates, but you can also just use image -- awesome quick file. And that kind of thinking. Similar to me.
And another thing that we do, is we could use a carrot approach with getting people to convert to the components that we want them to use by having an actual like style guide and like documentation for the ones that we prefer them to use, right? Then like module developers like, oh well, here's a like nice pretty list of all the things that I can use, and they'll just use that because it's actually easier to use than to dive into the junk box of Drupal theme hooks to find the one. That would be good to use.
Yeah, we can definitely document the ones we have and make it easier for them to make the right decisions. That's something we want to do with 7 and the admin UI anyway. I guess we could also add more. I mean, we can definitely add new templates. We just can't take the old ones away.
Yeah.
And that would be good. Waiting for
Or we can take the old ones away as long as the markup stays the same and the overridden templates stay the same.
Oh, so you mean we can remove it from the module? But
not from stable.
But from core?
Yeah, from core. Basically, what stable and class is doing right now is protecting core from whatever we're doing into core. So we could go completely bananas inside of core as long as we just make sure that the templates move. The old templates are still available, both classy and core, classy and stable. Then we basically can do whatever we want. It's kind of it is a little bit of a fail mechanism, but
the issue, I was going to say, I'll be super quick. The issue is that each template file that we have to maintain is a theme hook, so there's a one-to-one mapping between those two, and we can't kill any theme hooks because that would break the API. That's all I'm going to say. Until V9.
We could conceivably move unwanted theme hooks to a deprecated module, which doesn't exist yet, but there is a core thread discussing the concept of a deprecated module. Last I looked, it had devolved into a bike shed of how to organize and separate the deprecated module so that you didn't have to have all the deprecated things if you didn't want all of the deprecated things. So that I think it's still a good concept, and yes,
we have the reverse already. Modules in core, so it's kind of the total reverse of that, and it might be a little bit confusing. As one way we're trying to push people to try out the new things, and the other way we're showing them this is the new thing, and the old thing is still there, hanging out in the old folder. I don't know, but just we have both kind of concepts going. One where we want to like try experimental new things and do some pretty awesome things, but we can't really release it yet because it's not quite ready. And then you have all these old things hanging out in the bin as well. I don't know. It's a good idea. It's just it might be a little bit tricky. But it's definitely a good idea. Like if we could like punt stuff to a different folder so we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Well, that's basically what classy.
But that's kind of what we're doing with all the API stuff. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, we leave it as that one, and then we're trying to do all the new stuff behind the scenes. Classy is our outdated.
Deprecated.
Deprecated, yeah. Deprecated on release.
Deprecated, isn't it normally John Altman's work task to take that? I remember that Lumarine ended up at this table as well. I can see John shaking his head.
Yeah, John, do we have a Drupal 8 version of Garland yet?
I'm fairly certain I'm no longer the maintainer of that. Let me double.
Find out.
I think I got rid of it. I think I managed to jettison all those desets. Whoa, Rob Loach. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Rob Loach got that one.
Oh, it's an alpha. That's pretty amazing.
Anyways, that actually moved me to this is a segue to jump in and talk about C and stable because we talked about it I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then see that we got the in so my idea with that is exactly as we're talking about right now, that we know that both classy and stable is pretty much integrated. They are just used to separate the crap out so we can work on core. That's what they are at the end of the day. And one of the thoughts that, I mean, it's been a standard joke for at least a while between me and John that, you know, why am I the maintainer of the class theme and why is John the maintainer of, you know, Stark, which is dying as fast as Blue Marine. And one of the ideas in my head was that I think what would make a lot of sense was to figure out what is it that, you know, we know that pretty much everybody's starting out on good old Zen, and figure out what is it that Zen does that is not done by core, and what is that we can learn from Zen, because Zen can move that much faster. What kind of class naming and all that stuff do we want to put in? If we want to think in design components, let's put them into Classy 2 or whatever we're going to call it, Classy, and then try to move it that way. I totally understand if John want to keep on Zen and keep on that stuff doing, especially on all of the sassiness and all that stuff. But it would make a lot of sense to think in like you get the cleanup work done as fast as possible, so we also can spread the work that we know what the class is just the standard markup. But if you want to have the next and best of whatever it is that the Drupal 8 frontenders is trying to build for them, that is actually the way you should go. And if you hear somebody like grunting in the background, that's my bulldog who's now demanding to play. God damn it, fat fuck. Go away. But we should look into both stable and look into classy and stable and classy, and figure out how to move forward with that, or make some kind of policy how we want to work with it, and then begin to port code over, because there's a lot of like little dumb things in class names, not so much collapsing anymore, but just isn't named right or named in a way that doesn't make sense, or got a stupid name because when we put the class names in, it was done during, you know, a 300 comments issue, where everybody was bike shedding everything, and now we can kind of clean that stuff on the side. And that could be, I mean, we now know that both Seven and Bardic is going to run their own way and do their own stuff. Pretty much not going to rely on Classy, as far as I understand, or just doing whatever they want to do. So we should kind of think in the same way, and then create an even better base for whoever comes in and want to do Drupal the first time. That was my rant.
I think we've been ranting for an hour now. Does someone else want to rant some more?
I just want to kind of quickly check those. I put some links in the meetup, and I just wanted to kind of touch on them quickly. There's an RC target for the first one that I put in there. That's for the. I just wanted to mention that one's on the plate to go in. We're trying to get, I guess, update classes twig extends is needing to be done, so it's kind of on our plate to work on. And there's a couple issues that we have to deal with. The trans block works with things inside of it. We made it purposely dumb to not do certain things, and now we're trying to make it a little bit smarter. So trans block has a couple issues for that. And Lewis, there's a little CSS thing that I wanted to poke at you. If it needs to be non-RTBC, but I just made some comments on that one, so I just wanted to poke that one at you. And also, I was playing 3 things with Drupal 8 so far, trying to get a handle on actually using it. I was trying to do my website conversion from Koana, which is not even a CMS, to this, so it has routes and stuff like that concept, and seeing how those go along. And so far, so good. But to do that, I actually wanted. I had some like PHP type scripts inside of my templates that I wanted to run, and of course we don't have PHP filter, which is a good thing. But I wanted to kind of make that transition as easy as possible, and the only things I was doing was like simple date math and stuff like that. So Twig has that. So I worked with the guys on the Twig module, which allows you to have a filter, what's it called, text format filters. And I just quickly made a release with that working, so that you can actually your body of your body text, and that you can turn on, and just like, oh yeah, I can put some Twig into my body copy. So that's fun. It worked, so that was cool. And there's some more features that they're going to try to do, like Twig syntaxing and syntax highlighting in CK Editor or something. And also, I just been working on the conversion from basic and making notes. So I'll probably have some more notes on that to have some questions for you guys on how certain things are supposed to be done, because certain things I don't know about, either libraries or how to best do blocks. Like I figured out how to install blocks on by default, and I'm not sure exactly if I'm doing it right. Using like that config install folder. Has anybody used that before? Like you can.
Yeah, we're using that on a project.
Is that the right way to do it? Like to just use that config install folder and just chuck some YAML in there and.
Yeah, do that, and then you use the config install profile. It works fine as long as you use it from the beginning. If you switch to it from standard or something, then it gets a bit messy. I found it.
I copied the stuff from, I think, standard to start, and then just like deleted certain things. But yeah, I was hoping, because when you do an install, if you change themes, for example, then you're changing. I think does it run it again, or does it never do that until you uninstall it? Like it's changing where those blocks are being.
You just do config import. You don't have to. It will be the same as installing.
Okay, so it's like when you install it, it moves the blocks to where it tells them to go. All those YAML keys in there, or just only need the ones that you really need, and then everything else defaults? Or did you play with that?
Well, everything you delete never gets set. So like if you just remove a YAML file, then it removes the entry from the database or whatever it does. This is if it existed. It's much better than the features.
Yeah, so I was using it to like get rid of for example, get rid of the Drupal. This is made by Drupal block from installing by default.
Yeah, you can just delete that YAML file.
Yeah.
Now what? One other thing I just realized, I didn't realize this before the issue. But you know that stable copy everything over issue? Obviously, because we copied all the CSS files, the number of CSS lint errors we had almost doubled because we just copied them all over again. So we had, what, like 333, and now we have like 500 and something. Lots of work.
Fucking damn it.
Yeah, but at least now we can fix some of them. We can fix the ones in the modules now after release.
And when you fix them now,
fix it twice as fast now.
Twice as fast, yeah, they will.
Well, that's true. Fixing 2 in 1, I guess. I'm fixing them.
Anything else we want to discuss today? I guess not.
Does anybody need a hand on any specific issues other than that one there? Like does anybody need a hand other than that gross broken progress bar?
I could use a review on the issue I linked to for moving Drupal find theme templates and Drupal find theme functions to the theme registry service. Those are just procedural functions in theme.inc that I think conceptually belong.
Are they RC target or are they not?
I don't know. I think it's safe to move them, keeping those functions there and then marking them as deprecated possibly.
Okay. That might be something that they might not have an RC target for. It might be something they do after RC is released. Or, sorry, 8.0.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. But just needs to, just to get the discussion happening with the people, we just need to tag it with RC target triage if you want to get it in earlier, and you probably give it a reason why it should go in earlier. But if you don't think it is, then we can just kind of wait till after 8.0 is released, and then we can work on it for like a bug fix or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it needs to go in before 8.0.0. I would just like to see cleanup of procedural functions. There's not much urgency there, but like we'll have more flexibility in the future.
We have a couple actually. There's a couple like that I'm also trying to do the exact same thing for. Like there's the twig without filter is its own function inside of the engine folder for some reason, because we had it not moved to get. And I've already have a patch for that too. But yeah, I agree. Let's totally get rid of these functions.
Great.
They're really long too.
Yeah.
That is all I have. Is everybody all ready for parties next week?
Yes.
Yes, more you yesterday, so and we got enough sponsorship, so we're gonna have an open bar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm about to figure out how I can, if I can change days with my ex, so she's gonna have, so I don't have my daughter on my arm that day.
She can help you get the beer.
Yeah,
to bring and deliver them to the table.
Good.
I think we are ready then, and ready to party next week, the release. I don't think. What do you think? Should we have meeting next week? I'm at least not gonna be there because I'm gonna be partying at this time.
No, we're not. Yeah, next week. No, let's also remember to take a breather. But the reason I think for this meeting today was just to make sure that we're keeping the contact, so we don't have to start that over, because we've tried that multiple times.
Yeah.
So another question, John. How does this time work for you? What's the time wherever you are right now?
It's past midnight here.
Right.
So later would be worse, but you know.
Right.
Much later would also be better, but probably worse for you.
This 5 o'clock is pretty bad for me. I would rather say like I would like if we could push it like 2 or 3 hours, I would be really happy. But I can totally see how that's going to be an issue for the people in the States.
2 or 3 hours earlier or later?
Later. Because then I usually have my daughter on Thursday, so then she would sleep.
I think this time is good because this works pretty well for most of the Asia, most of the US and Europe especially.
Yeah, this is like the one time when all 3 time zones are just about awake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's early morning for US, it's late evening in the Asia. But if you are not in the most furthest corner of Asia, then this is pretty good, I think. Like, if you are in Thailand, it's only like 11. Or, yeah. So, are we gonna keep it at the same time?
I think so. I just want to check up with John so we didn't leave him completely in the dust. Yeah, Australia and New Zealand, they can figure out whatever they want to do.
Okay, I think we are gonna keep it at this time.
Yes. Cool. But,
so see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Yep. Have a great party next week. Bye.
Good party. Bye.
Ciao.